Have you ever lost your passport in a foreign country? Well, what would it even be like, right? And what if that country was in China? I mean, what would you do? I mean, you can't even speak the language. So, but on our podcast show, we never had the misfortune of that, but we know someone who has, and he's sitting right next to us, and he'll tell us all about these interesting stories. So, welcome to the show, Trouffman.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, tell us all about you and what happened.
Okay, so all about me. I'm actually French and Canadian. Let's start by the basics. I live in Montreal nowadays, but I've been living in a couple of countries in the past, in Europe and then in Ecuador as well in South America. So I speak French, English, and Spanish. Well, Spanish I speak.
It started just learning. Right.
Spanish, I have a functional one. Mm-hmm. I have a functional understanding.
So let me get this straight. Of all the countries that you listed, none of those countries have Mandarin as a language.
I have a very strong attachment to Taiwan, but I don't speak anything else than ni hao ma, and
so that's how you.
That's good enough to go to 7-Eleven, get what you need, and go.
Okay, so this also helps you get your passport back, and I want to find out how.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So I will try to do the short version of that story. Some of my friends, I've heard that one many times. I don't think you guys heard the full story yet. Anyway, so it's September 2009. Right. I was invited by MSI that was running the Master Overclocking Arena, and that was the Olympic team, and they were invited for the final in Beijing. Yeah, we go there. We're supposed to be there for like 3-4 days, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, I will just extend my stay for like 2 days, just go around, visit a little bit. That was the first time I was going to mainland. I was like, okay, sure, do it, and so on. But the first 3 days, awesome, great events. We all enjoy that. Obviously, I don't speak at all like Mandarin or anything. I was actually barely speaking English at the time. It's
Wow.
2009, so I was definitely not fluent like this. Even I'm not that fluent anymore. But anyway, third day, next day, it's like, oh, okay, sure. We have to change hotel to go to a different one. Then I try to reach for my passport and I can't find it. So think about that. It's September 2009. So if you do the calculation, that's about the time they were doing their rehearsal for the 60th anniversary of the Communism Revolution there.
Oh, yeah, right.
I was moving to a hotel that was close to Tiananmen. I was a foreigner in there. I was a student at the time. I was doing my paperwork to go back studying in Canada at the time, and I lost my passport there. I'm stuck there.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So did you think it was stolen or was it lost?
I think I made a mistake of the night before. We went with the Australian folks. These guys, they know how to party, let's say it this way.
Oi.
And we wanted to play football. And I was like, get everything out of my pocket. Just put that on the table.
Right.
And then when I get it back, I think my passport just fell off.
Okay.
But yeah, so maybe there's someone in China after September 2009 going around with my face on their ID somewhere.
And the hair.
I had long hair back in the days as well.
Yeah, you had long hair.
I had long
he was
hair.
a party crazy maniac.
And just so you know, this is not the 2010 Olympics or 2009 Olympics. This for sports. This is actually the overclocking championships, which is for motherboards, computers, pushing them to the limit. So CPUs going way past their specified speeds to find out what they can do before they pop. And this is a very geeky sport, but it's also
very fun one.
Something that is accessible for most people around the world because most people have a computer and maybe some features in their BIOS that allow them to get some free performance.
Well, we're pushing that to the very last limit. We're like using liquid nitrogen, and it was like a full-on competition for it. So that was fun. I was mostly there to report that.
So were you panicking when you lost the passport?
I did not panic the first time. I was like, oh, come on, okay. I would have something to say, a story. Like, I mean, a couple of years after, it's still the case. The big problem was I have to get my paper back because you cannot leave the country unless you have a paper that tells you who you are and that you can go out of the country.
Yes.
I think it's still true today, but I was in 2009. The problem is I was invited by MSI. MSI being a Taiwanese company.
Oh, right.
We were there with them, blah, blah, and so on. So I have to go and first reach out to the embassy, and then I have to make a paper that says that I lost my paper.
Okay, so
I
this,
need a paper to say that I don't have any paper.
so this wasn't the China embassy; it was the embassy
The
of your
French
country.
embassy in China.
All right, okay.
Because I was only French back in the days.
Okay. Okay.
You do that, you get the paper, then you need to go to the police station
to report.
to say like,
Okay.
oh, you lost your paper.
Oh,
so
no.
you go to the police station, and
They didn't speak
I have
English.
to, I have to, like, I remember the people in there. I will not name them. My contact at MSI were very good with me.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay.
They were more stressed than me when we're in the police
Yeah,
station
of
there.
course.
I was the one without paper in that country. So
Imagine if you were the person responsible for a foreigner
It's
being
not
locked up
for-
in a country.
It's not like losing a computer, a motherboard sample. They
no.
lost a person.
Losing a hardware is fine. Losing it's just like stuff. But
Losing a
losing your
person.
paper, that's the only way out. That's the only way out.
Okay.
And so like a lot of paper, like the embassy closed at 4 because it's French, and then whatever. It just goes on and on. I get stuck in the country for 2 weeks.
What?
Got stuck in 2 weeks.
I was supposed to be there 2 extra days. I stayed there for 2 extra weeks.
Is that a normal process or procedure for China?
No, I think it was just bad timing.
Okay.
And then my flight, I did not board my flight, so I needed to change it. I needed to call the French office, that called the Taiwanese office, that confirmed back to change
Wow.
the ticket, calling back the French office, and then calling
Yeah.
back in China. So we lose at least 3 days every
Yeah,
time.
so
we have
lots
to
of
do a change.
confirmation stuff like that. I know a friend in Hong Kong. He went to China. I won't say got into trouble, but he was involved in an incident where all of the guys in that local area had to be locked up in the local police station. Right? It was an incident that happened, and they wouldn't let them out. Even he was innocent. He was just a bystander. He was just standing in the street, but they locked everyone
Hey,
within
wrong
that
place at the
facility.
wrong time.
Wrong place at the wrong time. He had to stay there for a week. Didn't charge him. Didn't do nothing. He was locked there for a week.
Wow.
So
Like-
technically, when you lose your paperwork, your identification paper, you're not supposed to move. You're not supposed to go out of your hotel.
Yeah.
I'm not staying 2 weeks in the same hotel.
Yeah.
Especially after I locked my 2 credit cards because I was buying CPUs that were only available in China. That's part of the story as well. I was basically broke for 2 weeks.
Oh no.
But yeah, it was fun. It was a fun 2 weeks. I have a very fun memory of it.
So
And-
let me ask you one question. Did the French embassy help really at all?
Yeah, sure.
They
It's
did?
an embassy. They will help their citizens, no problem.
Okay, good.
I have
That's,
nothing-
that's something good to know. So
Just
always
bad
go back
timing.
to your embassy if anything.
If you're
serious
not
happens.
sure,
Yeah.
call the embassy always.
Something doesn't sound right here because your friend was in an area and he got locked up. I was with, maybe I shouldn't name him, but he works for ASUS now. He used to be from a
No
website.
names. No names.
They used to report on tech,
Right.
but it's not the guy that you think. And
Okay.
he had so much to drink after getting a massage at one of these parlors that when we helped him outside to take a cab to go back to our hotel, he was right beside a police officer. He said hi, and then he puked all over the police officer's shoes.
There you go.
And then
That's it.
we ran to the cab and we took off.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm just
Don't.
Yeah, they make any excuse to arrest you. So do not try to do anything like
so
that.
that was pure luck.
Yeah, but that being said, just control
Yeah.
yourself.
He's a foreigner, he's a
everywhere
foreigner.
you go. Actually, being a foreigner, you can get away with so many things that sometimes it's actually not fun. So I've seen people getting away with things just because they're foreigners, like in Ecuador,
Yeah.
mostly because I lived there for like almost a year and a half. And you could see people being disrespectful, but being able to get away with it, even though because just they're foreigners. And I think it's wrong. I
Yeah.
think you should be in the world
Yeah.
in general. You should be conscious of like others, and then especially when you travel abroad.
yeah.
Like I mean, even here, even in Canada, like we go to different provinces, and it's not the same interactions with people as well.
Yeah,
we're talking about that. I live in the other side of the country than these guys, and you always have to be mindful. It's okay to not understand
Yeah.
everything, but being disrespectful on purpose for the joke or for amusing your friends, I think it's wrong.
It's like what
and
what
we've
you
all
think.
been
Yeah.
culprit of doing some.
It's like
of
what you
this,
think is okay
somewhat.
in your own country may not be another country. For example, I know in Saudi Arabia, right, in Dubai and things like that. Oh, you can't drink.
Well, actually, that's
alcohol.
not exactly true. But
Like
yeah.
in the public.
as a foreigner, you have a
Yeah.
get out of jail
so,
card.
So you always be careful. I've seen like even in Hong Kong, and it used to be more tolerant because it used to be back in the UK kind of colony, whatever. But now you can't. There's a lot of things you got to be careful. What it's okay for this country may not be okay for
Overall, be respectful.
country.
Just
Yeah,
be
be
respectful.
respectable.
to
Yep,
others.
yep.
not everyone have the same background, not everyone have the same history, not everyone have the same culture.
That's true.
And it's not about if you agree or not. It's more like fine, discover, learn about it, and then after that you agree or not.
So
But
2
not a
weeks,
problem.
you stayed in the country just to get your
Yeah.
passport sorted out.
Yeah, it took me to 2-3 trips to the Office of the Internal Security. So that's how they called the immigration office back in the day.
Okay.
You need a paperwork to go out of the country. You need to be like all
right,
that.
So
took 2 weeks,
you
get
were there
out,
2 weeks.
and then
so
went
the,
to France.
The MSI rep, they went back, right? So
went
they
back.
check up on you because they must have checked up on you,
No,
right?
they checked on me, and to close the story, actually, so that was 2009. I
Right.
think Amway ran until 2013, and we were invited for each of them every single year. When we were invited, I had one extra email just for me in big red font. Do not lose your passport this time. So
you've been flagged
I was flagged.
as a flight, as a risk.
As a risk.
as a business risk, I guess. Hopefully, I'm very grateful today,
wow.
and I think that's something.
Yeah,
in
I
my
think the
passport, I don't
first
leave
time
them
I
out.
met you was actually a year later at the 2010, the Gigabyte Overclocking
Oh, the
event.
GLC, the big
Yeah,
one.
that's when you still had your long hair. And I remember after the event, we went to the party, and oh man, this guy can party. He can party back then. I'm not sure if you can party
Back
now.
then, not as often as before, but as hard as before, yes, but not as often.
That's great. And every year you're at Computex and everything. When was the first time you met Trouffman? Was it CES or
long time ago.
or Computex?
It's definitely a CES. Probably a Computex.
Computex, maybe.
Probably
Yeah.
Computex.
So it's either
For
Vegas
sure a
or
Computex.
Taipei. It's-
Oh, hold on. Of my very first year, weren't you at the tavern?
I was at the
Yes.
tavern.
Okay, so it was the tavern.
Then that
Yeah,
is
it was
where
the tavern.
So that's the
in Computex, right? In Taiwan.
Computex,
Yeah, right
Computex.
outside of Taiwan International Conference Center, just outside of Taiwan City Hall, underneath the bridge where the
Right.
bus station is. There's this tavern that's underneath the bridge.
That's when
I think
that's
it
when
does not
Computex.
exist
It doesn't
anymore.
exist anymore.
I
It's
don't think
gone.
it doesn't exist
Right, so
anymore.
that's when Computex wasn't at Nangang. It was still at the.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Alright,
when it
yes.
was done.
Yes.
I mean, it's all in Nangang so Nangang is like the part a little bit outside of the
Yeah.
Taipei Center. Everything is in there now because they have the new hall.
That's
Anyway,
right. But that was a fun part of town.
let's say there is some very people
Okay.
that we know each other that we have to thank for very good time in Taiwan. And
Thank you.
I think when we were starting in that industry, some people have been always there.
Okay.
Yep.
I think they will recognize themselves.
So Taiwan is you can go in there no problem country wise you're fine, right? But China, when was the last time you went to China since the passport?
So since the passport, I
Instant.
went there once. I went to Shuzhou, which is an hour and a half away from Shanghai.
Yeah.
And that's where a data factory is, and that was a factory tour for
Okay.
them. And
So you have been back since.
I've been back since, and I did not
You-
lose
you-
my passport.
you
And
know-
Goodness.
I've not lose my passport in any other country since then.
you know you
Good
have a
boy.
record, right?
Good boy.
They have a record of you.
Oh yeah.
Lose your
I know.
passport.
Actually, I have to go back to China in 2025 for
Okay.
for a show. So let's see how that goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was quite a story.
Yeah, and you got the short version of it.
Adventure.
You got the short version for it.
So from 2 days to 2 weeks, you spent all your money on CPUs, which are processors for computers,
Okay.
and you were basically broke.
I was not broke. I had cash, but I could not get it.
I get it. Oh my God.
Hey, will the embassy actually loan you some money? They won't. Okay.
Did MSI loan you some money?
Not them directly, but one of their
Kind persons.
kind person that I have to thank again, which I might send a couple of reminder email every couple of years to say thank you.
With big red letters.
No big
I
reasons,
will
but-
not lose my passport.
No, just like
Ever.
there's especially one person that's made a very big difference for me
my God.
at that time.
That is
Oh,
awesome.
crazy. So, yeah, go on.
It's good to know that the company that invited you actually didn't ditch you.
Oh.
Because that would have been bad. That would have been
Oh, yeah.
an interesting story.
They can't. They cannot redo it because they were the one buying for my flight. They were paying my flight, so they had no other
Okay.
ways.
All right.
But yeah. Anyway,
So so you got a lot of cultural kind of connections with Asia, right?
I do.
Taiwan, of course, China. You would say you had spent more time in Taiwan than in China, right?
China, I went there like in total of
'Cause
days,
you
2
have-
weeks and 4 days. So
You have a lot of connections in terms of like, back in the overclocking scene, like people with companies that do overclocking stuff. right?
correct. So that's part of my past life, I call it this way. So I used to run a media called Overclocking TV. So we're focusing just on overclocking. So overclocking, again, as you said earlier, is making a computer go faster. That's the very simple way. We're reporting just on that.
Yeah.
And we're going to Taiwan quite often. My longtime business partner, team Xiala, actually lived in Taiwan for almost 5 years.
Yeah, how is it?
So they live in Montreal now. So
okay,
everything
cool.
is
There you
good. Everything is
Alright.
good.
Alright.
And what I was saying? Oh yeah. So since that, I was spending almost 3 months every year in Taiwan.
Okay.
I have like a lot of my friends live there. I have a lot of long-time people that really value the relationship with in there, that have been there at the right time for me when I was young and no one wanted to believe in what we're doing, supported us. And then that's why we're here. That's why I live in Canada today. That's why I can travel. That's why I can do what I do today, which is not related to that anymore, but what I was doing for almost 15 years, like 13.
And you get to
15
see
years.
us as well.
I go to all the shows because of that. I used to go because of that. Now I go because of work or businesses. But yeah, it's
And then
good.
we run into each other. It's
All the time.
That's how we know each other.
Yeah,
it's true.
It's like 15 plus years friendship. I mean, it's just crazy, right?
no,
It's always hard to find like where we meet first.
that entry point is like, what was it? Which show again? Under which tavern? Which beer?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Because it's never like one specific point.
No.
It's always like, oh, I think that was around that show. It's like, yeah, but that show you see like 2,000 people in like 5 days.
Was it over Hefeweizen? Like the tall glasses? Was that when we met?
You're trying to remember which party it was.
Which party was it?
And if
Okay.
it was at the party or in the street in front of the party, because you can't talk inside, so you have to go outside.
Was Kenny Lynn sing karaoke with us? I can't remember. Was that the one?
So what do you drink at these shows? You drink beer a lot? Or
I used to.
used to.
I tend to drink a little bit less now.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
All
so
right.
beer.
I was
beer
going to
usually-
ask you, German beer or...
I enjoy a
prefer?
lot. I have a lot of variety for things. The only thing I don't really like that much is actually whiskey and bourbon, because
Oh.
it's too strong for me. But I
I
love
like
wine.
whiskey. I like whiskey. Whiskey's my thing.
Yeah,
I
but
prefer to drink that than beer. 'Cause beer gets really gassy.
so depends on what you have, and you can always go to wine.
Yeah.
I'm a big wine enthusiast. so-
Wine. I do wine, but I've noticed recently that if I do drink beer, it has to be like a porter
Okay.
or like a Guinness, something very, very dark where I can kind of chew on it. Just
As a meal in the glass.
It's a meal in glass.
And you usually only get one then.
I usually only get one because then I can nurse it the entire time. I don't drink a whole lot, but if I do have something hard, it'll usually be like a gin or a vodka, something like that.
Yeah.
Actually, my go-to cocktail is a sidecar. And I think I will mess up the recipe. I think it's like 1/3 Cointreau. It's like 3 hard liquors and a tiny bit of lime, and it's very good, and I like it. And I have some of my business partners. One is always the old fashioned.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know if the old fashioned is good, that bar is good. I
Yeah.
do the same with the sidecar.
True.
So apart from Asia, you travel all over the world. Okay.
I try to.
So you've got some exotic places that you've been to. How do you kind of like get immersed in your culture? How do you kind of like
It
tackle that?
depends if I'm there on vacation or if
Okay.
I'm there with friends. So most of the time I'll try to go to, it's very rare that I go to a country that I know no one.
Right. So you do a little bit of study. Hey,
I will try to as much as I can, but most of the time is I go somewhere, even for vacation, because I know someone there.
Right.
Because for me, it's much more valuable to experience like people living in there.
because they know the local culture,
that
the
or-
places and stuff like that.
Or just you won't get into all the tourist trap,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't,
yeah.
which I don't really like. I like exploring. I like the culture. I don't like people. I mean, it doesn't look like this, but I don't like when there's a lot of people. I don't like to wait in line. I don't like to do that.
Yeah, I hate it when people try to take advantage of you because they know you're new and you're tourist and stuff like that. But if you know someone there locally, they can take you around and have meet up and stuff like that.
And there's places, even if you know the people, that's still going to be a tourist place. So, for
Yeah,
example,
yeah,
I
yeah.
went, I think that was a year and a half ago from the time we record. I was in Ecuador, and
Okay.
Galapagos Islands are actually
If you-
part of
you've been there.
Ecuador. And I went to live in Galapagos for almost 2 months. But you can't live there because you're only allowed to stay 60 days every year.
okay.
Because
okay.
there's already too many people.
Got
It's
it.
technically a protected, one of the most sensible and protective area.
Right.
And we were in Ecuador with my wife for a couple of times, and we were like, okay, she's from there. And I was like, okay, no, let's try to see. Can human live in this remote island that's supposedly protected. I think it's only 3% of the land mass that can be used by human, and I think that's it. Don't quote me on that. And out of this 3% land mass, there's about 25,000 people living there on 3 to 5 different islands. Most of the islands don't even have drinking water.
Oh,
Like
wow.
the whole sheer mindset of like Galapagos is so great, diversity. Yes, it's good because it's much more than anything else.
But 25,000 people, that's a lot, actually.
And even that, there's just way too many people. So one of the idea was, before I turned 40, can I go live on an island? And I was like, can I do it? Yes, you can. You go to Guadeloupe, you go to wherever, then it's fine.
They
But
have
is it sustainable?
infrastructure there? Infrastructure in terms
Yeah,
of...
there
like,
is. It's limited, of course, but there is.
Do they have Starlink?
Now they might have. When I was there, it was not yet enabled because you need more than 4 hops before you can go to the continent.
Okay.
Got it.
And the biggest problem is, can you go live on an island that is protected and still be sustainable between human and and the nature and all that? And the short answer is no.
Okay.
It took us 10 days. After 10 days, we're like, this is impossible that in 15, 20 years, it's still like this. There will have a problem there because either there was too many people or what you need to do to sustain the tourism and all that is
How
not
far
up to
is it from Ecuador mainland to the actual islands?
above on 1,000 kilometers.
1,000
No,
kilometers.
it's very far. It is extremely
So
far.
you can't just do a day trip there and stuff like that.
No,
really.
you cannot do that. You need, and again, it costs a lot to go there. I mean,
that's
as
true.
a foreigner, you pay $100 USD as soon as you enter because it's a national park as well. But anyway, so we went to, that is the most exotic place. It's awesome. It's very good. Go there on vacation, but don't go live there.
So-
And if you go there, just pay attention. Keep your trash with you. Just don't put your trash
Yeah.
there. Just bring it back.
But you also do quick trips. For example, last year you were in Bali, right? In Indonesia. And then suddenly he just picks up the phone and go, yeah, I'm coming to Taiwan. And like, it's just like that, a week here, a week there. So,
Okay.
so with all these traveling, how do you actually plan it? Is it just something off
It's
the
not
cuff
planned.
or?
That's the problem. So
Do you prefer
I
that?
travel a lot for business.
Okay.
So most of my job today is to help event organizer to deliver their show, deliver on the content.
Okay,
So for
okay.
example, recording things, streaming things, broadcasting, but as well as making sure that the tools that they use
Yeah.
is actually useful for their attendees and the exhibitors. So all the digitalization of that. So I'm involved with the team on making that better for the organizers. It happens that I have to go to some of the shows. It happens that some of the shows are in remote locations. It will be very bad to fly in and out without actually discovering part of where you're going.
Yeah.
And when doing an extra stop makes your flight even cheaper, why not do it?
Why not?
Okay, so
Okay.
there's a
So
lot of
it's-
other things with
So
that.
like an extra stop.
So usually I
because-
make an extra stop after I go to a business trip.
Like today. You were
Actually-
Montreal to here,
I'm
Vancouver.
going to Vegas,
and he's going to
on
Vegas.
this trip, and I had like an 11 hours layover in Vancouver.
Nice.
So I was like, no, why
Why
not?
not? Why
Why
not?
not? Most people will say I will take the flight that goes straight to there and back. And for me, it's like I can actually make the flight like $500 cheaper. Fly here, see people I want. So it puts that on you. It's like it's not business or it's not anything, but it allows you to do a lot of these things. But of course, you need to have specific enablers. So for example, I don't have kids. My wife works a regular job during the weekdays. So it's like, we can do it. I can do it. I don't know if I will keep doing that for all my life. I really enjoy it because that's the opportunity to see people like you.
Yeah, like it's this is just so we're aware. This is just taking extra stops on a existing trip. It's not an open jaw.
Exactly.
ticket.
Yeah.
It's different. An
I
open
know
jaw.
exactly when I go in. I know exactly when I go back. I know exactly what time I have to be somewhere. And this is never compromising what is my first purpose, which is go to that place for business.
Yeah. So open jaw tickets basically like if you're going somewhere, it's like a extended stopover somewhere where you stay like you land there, you take days.
Yeah, I never did that.
Yeah, and then you come back.
I never did that,
Right. So
actually.
this is just having more stops in order to take advantage of the reservation system.
Of everything. It's cheaper. You get usually more
Cheaper.
miles.
Way
you can
more
see
miles.
people. And anyway, you get access to the lounge before you fly, so you're good.
And you get to see more places. Like, for example, let's just say that you're going to Asia. Oh, I'm just going to stop in Korea. I'm going to stop in Japan. I'm going to stop in Indonesia. Then I'm going to go home or something like that. right?
You can. You need planning. So you spend a lot more time finding the right flight, and you need to be able to do it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the people cannot do that because they don't control their business trip. It's like you have to go there, fly in, fly out. Most of them have families. Most of them have other priorities.
Yep.
My priority is always to spend time with my close circle, so my very close ones, my family, my good friends, and then the one is if I can go visit and discover more things, I will do it.
And there's also another secret that you have that we've noticed just by observing, is that you travel extremely light.
Oh, yeah.
How do you pull it off?
I know.
Because he's got to have his blow dryer and his hairspray and his makeup routine, and I take too many gadgets and too much clothes. How do you do it?
Yeah.
How do you like?
He look good. I look like this.
No. I mean, like, he's just got a backpack.
No, I
That's
just got a backpack. So the key is, as I spend most of my time during the year traveling,
Right.
the key is you need to have a system. And the system is very simple. It's like a system is for everything. Like simplifying your life. You don't want to spend time like, oh, what am I gonna wear tomorrow morning or all that. Like, no, just prepare that the day before you go to bed. Yeah. It's like, okay, I wake up, I wanna go running, prepare your running stuff before you go to bed. So next thing in the morning, you don't have to think about it, you don't have to make the decision, it's there. I do the same when I pack and travel. So I have one backpack, my main backpack, and I have my carry-on. Usually my carry-on is for everything that I don't want to carry with me if I have to do a stopover, like we did today. So in my carry-on, I have like an extra pair of shoes. I have all my stuff in there, but I don't travel with the hairdryer. I don't have the same air routine as you guys. But I have the bare minimum. But in my backpack is where I can technically lose my carry-on. That would be bad because it's physical things and I need to get them back and so on. But I don't really care. I care about what's in my backpack. Okay. My laptop, my charger for my laptop, charger for my phone. I have a battery pack actually.
Documents,
passports.
Yes.
And there's a specific way I put them in when I travel that it's in there, which is completely different when I'm home. I don't put them in the same place in the backpack.
Yeah.
And with that backpack, I have pretty much everything. I have an extra change. So I have usuiry an extra underwear, an extra pair of socks, an extra t-shirt,
toothbrush, just in case.
Just in case.
Right.
I have my toiletries necessary. So toothbrush. And I don't put gel or anything.
Tylenol, just in case headache.
Actually, I don't have any.
He's got a pill pack.
Yeah.
You got a pill pack.
I just take it with me just in case.
Yeah.
Like Lactaid, because if I want to have ice cream, let me tell you.
You don't want to travel next to that guy if that's the case. So yeah, I have this pattern. It's like I know exactly where things are, and I prepare them like the day before. So it's in there, and it's every single time like this. So
it's
I know like
routine.
I have a mental check. I go out of the house and it's like passport, cell phone, charger, laptop, spare.
Yeah.
Done. Okay, I'm going. And I'm fine. And I don't have to stress about it. It's like, oh, what if my luggage get lost? Or what if if your luggage get lost, that's fine. You claim all you can from the airlines.
So let me ask you, when you're at an airport, especially an American airport, and you watch the family or the couple just kind of pull stuff and just panic, doesn't that just give you heart palpitations? Like it literally makes you mad, doesn't it?
Not anymore. It used to, but not anymore. For two things. I had, over the years, a lot more friends traveling with kids, and I know it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because kids won't understand that system process. They won't get it. And the second part is I usually go to the lounge. I get to the airport, I get straight to the lounge and I work. And I go work and I, not even decompress, it's like I have stuff to do. I would rather do them rather than just waiting in line. So usually I will wait that the zone that we're usually on just board and I would just board after. Why? Because I travel light. So I don't need to have that overhead bin space anymore. I can just put it under. So I always have space, which saves as well on a lot of different things. You're not stressed. I need to stand in line, so I have space in there. It's like I don't know my seat. Like it's a plane, your seat is reserved. Like no one's gonna steal it from you. That's fine.
So,
but don't be late for check-in and don't be late for boarding.
So don't be late. Pack as light as possible. Think about what you're gonna put in there before you get to the airport, rather than just throwing everything everywhere.
And it's fine to miss stuff. It's fine. If you did not took your favorite toothbrush or your toothpaste, just
go to the destination and buy it at your local 7-Eleven.
And chances are that might even be cheaper there.
If you fly to a 7-Eleven, yes, for
yeah, definitely.
In Taiwan, they sell everything in there.
Oh my god! You can even file your taxes in there. It's amazing.
A side story about that. I used to work for a small company, and then I went to a much bigger company. And I had to print and sign my resignation letter when I was in Taiwan. I was actually in a remote work at the time, which was way before that was allowed of COVID. So I won't tell the company names. So I was working for that small business, and I had a big offer from that large credit union in Canada. And I was like, crap, I need to make that sign, because then after that is the weekend, and then after that I will be traveling and I will lose 1 week. And if I lose that week, I cannot start the right time. And so on. It's 4 a.m. in Taiwan. I need to print and sign my resignation letter to take the picture and just ship it, because because obviously digital signature was not accepted. At 4 a.m. in Taiwan, you can still go to the 7-Eleven, print, sign, scan, and ship that back within like 5 minutes for, I can't remember, like 20 Taiwanese dollar, like it's literally like 50 cents.
Unbelievable.
It's just so convenient.
And by the way, these 7-Elevens are all over the place. They have like one street, like 5 of them.
Yeah, usually the corners, like if one 7-Eleven, one Family Mart, one 7-Eleven, and then the Kmart.
Yeah, it's all everywhere. They're everywhere.
I'm so glad that you've given us your process, because I take pieces of what you do, but then I just end up packing just a little bit too much because I over prepare.
But that's okay as well. I mean, I learned it the hard way. I did learn it the hard way of overpacking and having to move with that overpacked. And I did a bunch of hiking trips where you have to be very diligent on what you bring and what you don't. And it's fine to miss stuff. It's okay.
He overpacks so much, Stephen, that he went to the airport. The security guard, I think the bag guys are checking the bags.
Like security lines?
Yeah, they check the bags, and like you go through the X-rays stuff like that. Stops him. Said, "What is that roadcaster for?" He was there for like 30 minutes checking this thing. Right? Remember that time?
Like, oh yeah. Like, what is this thing?
What is this thing? What do you need it for? Where are you taking it?
Well, it was important. I had to take it with me. Otherwise, our trip it sunk. Right? It wasn't overpacking. Like literally that suitcase I had. That was my carry-on. Just bare.
Okay, they must have scanned it through the X-ray and thought, oh, it's
as soon as you get with electronics. I mean, if it's not a laptop or tablet, they will start asking questions. And I mean, that's normal. That's their job.
Like, let's just put it this way. These look like mortar shells. So I had 3 of these in my bag. So that's probably what they were more concerned about than the mixer, which looks like a DJ. Right?
Yeah, actually, I have a side note about that. With the Australian again, I think it was in Indonesia, and we're coming back from one of these competitions, and they use like this big copper and aluminium pieces, like it's big, it weighs like up 3 kilos. So all the thermos and the LN2 pots, so it's like the support, the piece where we put the liquid nitrogen to cool down the computer. Like these are massive, like they weigh a massive ton. And when you push them in the X-ray, they see nothing because it's just raw.
It's a copper.
Copper and aluminium.
So it's invisible.
And one of the Australian, I can't remember if it was like Dino or Young Pro, and they passed out within like 2 of them in the backpack, and the guy's like, "What's that?" And you're at the security line at the airport. You have to explain that you're actually unmounting computers, modifying them to make them go faster, and this is what you use to cool them with liquid nitrogen. The guy was livid.
No.
What again? I have to show pictures. Things, but
hey, Bruce, Nigel.
Oh yeah, I've overpacked once actually, coming from Taiwan, go to Hong Kong, come back to Taiwan. It was all these, you know how I pack all those small bags of like cables and gadgets and stuff like that. It was literally, it wasn't overweight, but it had too many smaller bags within the big bag. So they told me to unpack
organize
the smaller bags out so that they can scan them individually. It's like, all right then.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I always expect to be searched when I have stuff like this, but the only time that's ever gotten really dicey, and this is in our favorite country, China. I had a broadcast camera with me, of course, and journalists.
That's the problem.
Journalists. They're very touchy about journalists in China. So
I mean, everywhere where you have to go with large equipment. I went a couple times in Brazil. Was like computer parts. That's very tricky there.
Oh, because it's the tariffs for computer
tariff
parts
is
are like
there is-
1,000% or something.
Yeah.
No, so it's at least 80% from start, but then everything that goes through like the courier, they get an extra fees on that, and it's like you pay twice the price.
Yeah.
So it's extremely expensive.
There's a thing called export controls where you have high-end computer components that are not meant to be shipped or carried across certain countries. So that's probably one of them, especially, for example, NVIDIA graphics card. Imagine take one of those.
Well, you cannot fly in China with them
The
anymore.
AI.
So for example,
chips.
you cannot get an 800 NVIDIA chip in China for a lot of reasons. But
Yeah.
there's so many rules that it's impossible to follow them all and to know them all.
Yeah.
So whatever happen, just play by it. I mean, play by the rules.
Now that you mentioned that, you can't expect the border people to actually know every single rule as well too, and you could be
Yeah.
stuck there due to lack of information. You could even print it off their website; they still won't.
That's
Yeah.
That's how I figured out the maximum limit of wine you can bring back from from outside of the country inside Quebec. So
Yes.
actually in Canada, if you want to import alcohol, depending on the province you fly in, it's actually a different rule because it's actually state controlled.
Yes.
I looked at the website. I say, okay, I have up to 24 liters. Like, yeah, good. I can bring some bottles back from home because obviously, like, being born and raised in France, I enjoy the wine and bring the bottles. And I arrived there. It's like, no, it's like that amount of bottles. Like, damn, thought I was more. So yeah, I won't go into the details, but the maximum limit is 14 wine bottles, and you have to pay taxes on 12 of them, which is 100% taxes on it.
Yes.
But Quebec have its own kind of rules.
Yeah, they have some rules.
Do you have state control liquor store here, or like anyone?
Oh, they're state controlled, BC Liquor.
Oh,
But they
BC
also
Liquor.
have independent as well too. So they
But
license them out.
BC Liquor, that's British Columbia, right? It's
Yeah,
not
British Columbia Liquor Control.
Oh, it's province controlled.
Yeah, province
Yeah.
control.
Okay.
So it's SAQ, Société des Alcools du Québec, in Quebec.
Okay. Right.
So, but one of the stupidest rules in Quebec is that you can't enter
Don't
a
get me
giveaway.
started on that.
You can't enter a giveaway. Okay. Every
Actually,
giveaway.
that's actually a misconception.
What's that?
It's just because we have a specific rule for chance games.
Is that class as gambling?
It counts as gambling, but it's actually not. As soon as you prove that you can do 1 + 4, that's fine.
Yeah, but-
Therefore, it's just like if you click the box saying like if you're able to read this and
But you have to register and pay a fee.
yes and no, it depends
Yeah.
for what. So it's very complex. Actually, the guys at the I'm sorry guys in Quebec, I forgot the name of the association for esports. I think the FESQ, the Federation of Esports in Quebec, something like that. They have actually very, very good analysis backed by lawyers on why Quebec should not be excluded from esports tournaments because of those prizes. They can actually participate, and the process is pretty simple. It's just a misconception that Quebec is always excluded from any giveaways. So when it's like that, I use my French address.
All right. So they're telling me that they can enter these prize giveaways.
I'm not a lawyer, so I can't understand. I can.
All right.
answer
Well, that's
that.
another topic for another time. It gets complicated.
Most people just don't want to do the paperwork. No other province makes you do some paperwork. That's it. It just comes down to that.
It's just I think no one else enforces it.
Right. So, right. But they're changing it. I know that they're looking at changing that
Maybe
legally. So it should be in the future. Quebec, you're good to go. Maybe.
just contact the people locally that know about it.
Yeah, and the
that's the
politicians
best way.
just get it struck down. Just fix it.
Yeah, I will not make comment about that.
Trouffman, all the years you've been traveling, right? Apart from the passport story that you had, right? What are the most fascinating countries that you think you visited? Tell us which one
This is hard. I would say Indonesia,
is.
but
Okay.
for the not
Okay.
Bali, not Bali,
Not Bali,
but
okay.
Indonesia, like Indonesia proper, like the Java island, for the people.
Okay, is it safe?
Oh yeah, sure. It's super safe. I
Okay.
mean, I always when there was I never had any issues traveling, and I traveled in some places where I was not supposed to go, and I was not supposed to be when I was much younger than that. I've never had any problems, but again, I've never been a tourist my face looks like a tourist, of course, but I've never been with like my phone in the street, like, oh, I have no idea where I am. It's like, I always look pissed. If I'm lost, I look pissed. Therefore, no one's going to talk to me. And the first thing you do, you go with locals. You check how they behave. You check how they talk to others. You learn the basic words. So that's why like we went in Ecuador in like some very remote locations. We were with the in-laws. No problem. Even though that's technically a place that is not super safe. It's at the border with the Peru and Ecuador.
Yeah, sure.
And it's like one river passing there. There's a lot of traffic passing there and so on. Just adapt, right? Don't be this like, oh, I'm a tourist and I can do whatever I want. I can pay my way out. Like, no, that's not how it works.
How about you, Winston?
my most interesting. I haven't traveled a lot, but people have been saying Japan is this, Japan is that, and it's, I thought, okay, I've never been there. But last year I went there, I was interestingly surprised. Actually, it was much better, as good as they said. So it's like the people are nice.
The culture,
they're very nice. The food is good, and everyone's like polite and everything, and everything's so organized, and there's no litter anywhere. It's just crazy, and it's a city of 27 million people, right?
So much honor.
And and even if you can't speak the lingo, they will help you either way, and they'll try their English. Of course, they don't speak that much of it, but still.
It's getting much better. I mean, if you're in Tokyo, Kyoto, that's usually you can get around.
Yeah, I went to Tokyo. Yeah, Tokyo. So I think Japan was interesting. It's not one of the best countries I've been, I think, but it's still top 5 easy.
But what about the scariest? I mean, he talked about some scary places. What about scary?
Oh, scary! That was Mexico, man.
Mexico. Oh no,
Tijuana.
Mexico. You've been to Mexico, right?
I've been to Mexico.
Yeah.
But I went to the tourist part of it, which is fine. I was in Playa del Carmen, which is very touristy.
Do you actually see any of the drug stuff?
No,
out there?
you don't see the drugs, but you see the army at all the checkpoints.
So yes,
Right,
so when I was
okay.
seeing places that was not supposed to be, that was in Mexico.
Yeah. So and then there's the all of a sudden they have to divert your flight fly into the little airport before the U.S.
Yeah.
That airport's kind of sketchy, but it's okay.
But one time I did go to China. It was in Shanghai, and they had this computer place that they sell computer stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Like Dongguan.
Yeah, like similar to Guanghua. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called in Shanghai. I went there, and I took some photos. I was videoing,
Oh yeah, they don't like that.
and they didn't like it.
No, they don't.
Not the police. The locals who were working inside, they rushed out, and they basically spoke the local Shanghai language and saying, "What's on your phone? What's on your phone? Let me have a look. Huh. And I said, "Look, it's just photos of here. It's delete it." It's like, okay. And they wouldn't let me go.
Yeah.
They seriously wouldn't let me go. And luckily, my friend who worked with me at that company came over and spoke their whatever language.
Yeah.
And I eventually deleted the footage. It was nothing. It was just a scrolling video of that area of the shops.
But you never felt threatened. So
it was literally. I felt unsafe. I felt unsafe.
Unsafe, okay, but
because
not
there was
fair.
like 5 guys that surrounded me, and like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I can't speak Shanghaise because there's Mandarin, yeah. But when you're in Shanghai, they speak their local Shanghai language, right?
Were they shorter than you?
No, they're big as well.
Oh no, that's not
Like
good.
they were,
No.
yeah, I didn't know what to do, and I said, "Look, okay, I'll delete it." But they were gonna take my phone off me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And if they took that off me, I wouldn't have no way or form of communication with my friend. They would have probably smashed my phone up, whatever. I just felt unsafe. That was 2019, even back then.
No, it's not that long ago. as well.
Yeah,
wow.
so I didn't feel safe, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, Brazil on New Year's Eve is not safe. Like if you
New
go
Year's
to
Eve.
Rio de Janeiro on New Year's Eve on the beach, this is not safe. No joke. I went there. It's the same thing. It was more than 10 years ago. For New Year's Eve, like Copacabana, the sheets and all. It's like, yes, thinking about that, it's like couple million people on the 3 kilometers beach.
What the hell?
You go there like 6-7 hours before. You cannot go back up until that's over. And for the 6 or 7 hours we were there, I think we saw like 8 or 9 people being robbed. We saw them. So that's on top of all the ones we have not seen. So that place felt unsafe. A lot of other places feel uneasy. That place felt unsafe.
It's crazy, isn't it?
One of the places that I've been that you would think that you shouldn't be there at all. You shouldn't even be in that neighborhood. Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, really?
In a suburb.
Okay.
We were looking for a barbecue.
Oh, you went there.
We wanted, comfort food, Southern food, right? So we're driving because I rented the car.
Okay.
Family's with me, right? So we got kids. And we end up in this neighborhood, like super, super black neighborhood where not a single white person around. And, I think we took a wrong turn. But sure enough, this GPS, it says that this is the restaurant. Lots of stars and everything. Let's just go there and see what's going on. So we pull in. We get inside. My wife is the only white person there. And we're Asian. And we're the only Asian people.
Well,
And we go in. And everyone's like, oh, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
coming for eats and everything. No, the ribs are fantastic. Oh, try the chitlins in the... Like, oh, thank you.
But that's usually like this. It's not because it feels uneasy that it is dangerous. So that's always the difference between uneasy, unsafe, and dangerous.
Yeah.
There's not that many settings where it's dangerous. There's a lot of settings where it's uneasy, and some settings where it's unsafe.
I think the term that we want is unfamiliar.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, but as soon as you travel and you go somewhere,
because it's not unfriendly. It's just that you're unfamiliar with the way that people dress or anything like that. Like everything that we know about that culture is from television, and it kind of clouds us in a certain way.
Yeah.
But everyone was so welcoming because I had children. Everyone's like, oh, the dad and everything's with together. Like they were so friendly. Everyone's like, hey, first time here? Yeah. No, you gotta try this. It's amazing here. Mama makes such a good. Oh, hey, thank you.
Open mind.
Yeah, and
keep an open mind.
And everyone was there serving us. Hey, y'all kids, doing all right there? Like everyone was so friendly to us. They were kind of literally like we were like a little sideshow inside the restaurant because no one else was like us. It was incredible.
That's
good.
different. Like different culture. Like that's the part that is fun about travel. That's why I will always try to do the stopover because you never know what you can do. You can never know where you end up. It's like
it's that experience
and be open.
Yeah.
Be open. That's the key. A lot of people are like too close-minded or don't want to spend the extra energy to understand what's next for others.
It's funny that you mentioned that. Every place that I go, even Hong Kong, my very first time in Hong Kong, as a kid, this is like
a long time ago,
2005 or 6. I spent an entire month there right after a Computex. I went there right after open jaw ticket when they were still allowing that from the barter program. And I went to Hong Kong. I stayed at a relative's hotel chain, one of the hotels in Wan Chai. Which is
business district. Yeah,
the Tiger of Wan Chai. All these movies painted that area as very dangerous. It's where all the crime and everything. It's where all the sailors come off and get into things with like the locals. It's where everything bad happens. I was there for an entire month. I walked by feet back and forth on Henderson Road from one end to the other. And I had such a good time because I discovered my people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah, there are a lot of bars there, lots of those type of bars.
I was in a lot of bars. And
those
beer
bars
was really, really cheap.
I have to go back visiting. I went there like 3 hours.
Yeah, it's a crazy place. It's quiet down a little bit because of what happened. Politics aside, but it's a nice place to visit and great place to get some opportunities if you're young and single and you want to if you're hungry for that, go for that. Lots of people there to make contact, and it's close to Taiwan, so
it is.
Yeah, it's like
brought to you by
about
Mountain.
Mountain.
Yeah, didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, we don't know what that is.
So we figured that out before recording. It says, I have no idea what that is, and then usually. Again, try things out.
Yeah.
So I got this one.
I have no idea what that is.
It's like, he told me like, oh, this sign is mountain. Yeah, that's the only one I know as well.
It's Mountain. Maybe it's Mountain Dew. Chinese Mountain Dew.
I don't know, it's cherry or peach or something.
I was trying to figure out what that fruit was, and I'm like, maybe. Although maybe we should have.
There's a lot of sugar in that for sure. Strawberry juice.
It's the top ingredient.
Black prunus.
Rose
water.
There's one thing that Trouffman likes is he likes to taste the local, foods and drinks. Remember that time in Taiwan you actually went to get some tea leaves?
Yeah, actually that's the last time we were in Taiwan together.
Yeah.
I was on
the tea leaves.
I was on a stopover for like 48 hours, actually coming back from Bali, coming back from Singapore. that kind of like,
Singapore to Bali, Bali to Taiwan.
If you up around, you can do it. It's like, I need tea. I don't drink coffee.
Yeah.
I taste a lot of weird things as long as there's no garlic in there. And I was like, okay, let's go.
How do you know?
Let's try to find like tea, like proper oolong tea from Taiwan, which I love. I really love it. And then we tried to go to the first shop, and it was like not that impressive.
Because it was in the mall. The mall shops are really.
It was more like a commercial shop. It was like all like within tea bags, and I wanted like the proper like.
Yeah.
I don't want tea bags.
the hand-rolled leaves.
Yeah, he wanted the tea that wasn't from High Mountain Street down the road over there. He wanted from High Mountain.
I want the proper High Mountain tea, not the other
Yeah.
one. So we got in the street, and it's like, hey, there's like seems to be like a tea sign.
Yes,
just
an
go
old lady
right
in
into
there.
it.
An old lady shop in there, and she enticed you with lots of different types of teas, different percentage fermentation,
That was
different
good.
levels of elevation, and
That was the whole experience.
yeah.
We were already late for dinner.
dinner. Yeah,
To
yeah.
meet with some friends, and I was like, "Yeah, that's gonna take an hour. No worry, let's do it." So we were doing it. Then I buy some. I can't remember. That was, I think, like 400 Canadian of tea. That was
you
a lot
spent
of
like
tea.
$300 to $400 Canadian dollars worth of tea, and I bought one bag myself, but it was like
Actually,
maybe
when I went
$50,
back to
$60.
Canada, I had to declare. I think that's the highest amount I ever declared when I go
my
back.
God.
Yeah.
Because I think the limit is like $800, and I was like close to it because of like the $400
That's right.
of tea that I was
He
carrying
paid.
with me.
He paid by credit card, and this guy just left his credit card at the tea lady shop.
I did not left. I forgot to take it back.
Yeah, and then she says, "Oh, we went to pay for the food. We having dinner."
So that's after the hour there.
Yeah.
After the food, it's like, oh, we have to pay for it now. Like, oh crap.
and then and I had to phone the tea lady shop there in my broken Mandarin. Oh yeah, this Guilo, this where he's like left his card there. It's, oh yeah, I kept it for him. And
Yeah.
you went back to the shop, and she was like super sorry, wasn't she? Like,
They gave me some more tea.
oh, did she? I didn't know that.
Yeah, she gave me like the this special celebration box with like their own tea in like the special tea bags and so on. So I was like, oh, that's for you. It's like, yeah, thank you.
Who else was with us? Lars.
Yeah, like all the Taiwan team, like all the Taipei
Lars?
folks.
Lars was there. Yeah.
Was
yeah.
he grumpy about it?
He was
Yeah, of
grumpy.
course. Oh.
Yeah,
He doesn't like
but
tea.
he didn't like tea. He didn't like tea at all.
That was a very long tea story for him because I was like almost an hour. We were late for dinner with all the friends, and he had to go through all that as well.
Yeah.
Lars, we love you still.
Well, it's good that Auntie took care of you.
Yeah, she did.
She could have bought KTV'd everything and like,
You know,
I read
that shop could have been one of those shops where they launder money. You never know, man.
Oh,
like brother son,
like
man.
the brother's son, that could have,
She could be some boss of a,
Oh, you know what?
You know what?
She
I don't
probably
want you to know.
was the boss. And if you would have pissed her off, she would have made you disappear.
She was definitely
And
the one
bury
running.
you
She was definitely
at
the
the
one
hills.
running the shop.
Okay. Or Taiwan.
Yep.
You never know.
She'll bury you with a new fresh blood up
Yes.
the mountains
Come
to get
on.
some nice green leaves.
And then you think, and then that's why people have bad vision about stuff when you travel. Stop doing it. See, that's the
Oh, by the
prime
way,
example.
she had a good knowledge of English. Actually, she's actually tried to help.
She was very good at explaining
tea.
tea in a very limited English, and I was very thankful for that because she took the time without knowing who we
Yeah.
were, what we were here for,
That's right.
and whatever. And this is. She gained a customer for life.
Yeah,
I would go back to Taiwan later this year and I would go to her shop again.
She enticed him.
Yeah.
You got hooked.
Yeah.
Are you sure they didn't put anything in the tea?
I can guarantee you there's nothing else than tea in the tea.
Except for the High Mountain.
Hi.
And that is good. I'm actually
Okay.
having tea every morning. I do at least one tea
That's good.
pot
That's
every
good.
morning. I don't
All
drink
right.
coffee. So.
Okay. Asia. You probably know a lot about Asia. You traveled a lot
Actually,
there.
no. Actually, that's actually a wrong misconception as well. I know Taiwan.
Okay.
I know a little bit of Indonesia.
Been in China. Japan. You been in Japan?
I've been 2 times 3 days in Japan. So I don't say I know
Okay.
Japan. I
But you-
don't really know.
Traveled quite well in
But
Japan.
that's it.
Okay.
That's it. That's the only part I know about China.
And then
About Asia.
South America, you've traveled quite
South
a bit
America,
there.
same thing. I just know Ecuador.
Okay. All right. That's more than most people, right? Okay. Europe, because you're from France, originally born in France, right?
Yeah. Surprisingly,
What do you think about Europe? I mean, UK. Have you been to UK? That's where I'm from.
I've been a lot more in the UK than anywhere else in Europe.
Okay.
And I don't consider
Right.
UK being part of Europe anymore, sadly.
Technically, yes.
Yeah. We're not in
Oh, no,
Europe
legally,
anymore.
that's like this as well now.
Legally.
The Brexit just fucked the UK.
Let's not go
It's
into
done.
that discussion
All right,
again.
so Stephen, you've been to Italy, right? Italy.
I have been to Italy.
And anywhere else in Europe?
I've been to Florence. I've been to Italy, Rome, and
Yeah.
everything. So that's technically Italy.
Okay.
I've been to France, obviously,
France.
Paris.
Yeah.
Beautiful city. Love
Germany.
it.
Germany.
Germany. I was there in the City of Knives,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
Solingen.
So.
Solingen, and I was at the Haribo.
Oh, Haribo.
Plant, the main plant.
They make the jelly babies.
Yeah.
They make them in Germany?
They make them in Germany.
Germany.
They're
Germany.
German brand.
It's a German brand.
Yeah, it's a German
Haribo.
brand. I brought back 40 pounds of candy. 40 pounds because it's heavy, it's dense, right? So
It is, yeah.
it's very easy to load up. Like when you go into their main store, they give you like this grocery kind of produce box,
Yeah.
and you go in and you load up.
No way.
So they have Ritter, Swiss chocolate there, and everything, like all sorts of things, and tons of jelly.
Interesting. So
yeah.
you bought 40
40
pounds,
pounds.
40
of
pounds
sugar.
worth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And jelly.
Actually,
Yeah.
So Europe, you traveled everywhere in Europe, right? Which
misconception as well.
I mean, you were
I
to-
did a lot so I was living in the northeast of France. So
Yeah.
for me, driving 2 hours to go to Belgium was the same as driving 3 hours to go to Germany
Yeah.
or Luxembourg.
Yeah.
But going on the other side of France was much longer. So
Okay.
I traveled a lot through Belgium
Belgium.
because of the festivals. Because going for
Yes.
partying there is
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah.
It's cheaper. It lasts all night. So the regulations were not
Yeah.
the same. They can close the clubs much later at night than
Yeah.
in France. It was cheaper. And they have some of the best festivals for the kind of music that I was listening at the time, which was like on hardcore, hardstyle, and trance. So that's why I was going. I mean, you could go to a festival for $75.
So you must have gone to Cologne as well too.
I've been there as well, but never for what's the gaming convention?
There is a
there?
gaming convention.
Yeah.
It's
I've never done this
Gamescom.
one.
It's just
Yeah, Gamescom, yeah.
Gamescom. Yeah.
I did when it was in Leipzig.
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 Yeah. Leipzig.
That
yeah.
was fun.
Yeah,
That was
Leipzig.
fun. And I did Hanover quite a few times when Cebit was
about
around. So there was like
C-
CES, Cebit, and
Cebit,
Computex,
yeah.
but Cebit doesn't exist
Yeah,
for
it's
like
a bit
years.
in Hanover, right?
Hanover, yeah.
Hanover.
Yeah, that's in Germany. And you visited Laos in Sweden, right?
I happened to be in Sweden. That was last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I think, for a business trip, and we happened to meet up with Lars, a common friend.
Yeah.
There, very like, hey, you there? Yeah, I'm there. And just happened. See, that's the part that is nice. Like people's like, oh, I don't know if it was like this for you guys, but when I was younger, my parents were like, we are the generation that grew up with the internet becoming what it is today. And I remember being like a kid or a teenager. It's like, oh yeah, oh, don't you go outside? We're living in the countryside as well. Just go outside, do your things, and these people on the internet you talk to, you will never see them. Actually, that was wrong because half of the people that I met online, I actually have more connection with them. I see them more often than the people I was at school with.
Yeah, it's true. You know more about them.
Yeah.
You have
I know more about them. I
This
don't have the same like connection with
Yeah,
them.
this is the kind of early to middle age of internet where everybody was contacting and communicating through internet, right?
Shit, we
But-
feel old now.
Yeah.
But now you have to be careful with the kids on the internet because you never know who they'll be contacting or meeting up.
But they
and-
get online
Yeah.
much younger as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's like 6-7-year-olds on even younger
Just-
on the internet and playing on the pad and stuff. It's crazy.
Like I remember like cell phones. For me, cell phones.
So
I had a
expensive.
cell phone when I was 15, I think. And
And it
that's
was
because I was
expensive,
taking
right?
care of my brother and my sister. And I was the only one that was being able to contact because we were going to school like an hour drive away. We need to take the bus. And sometimes the bus doesn't arrive in the township where you live. It was arriving like 8 Ks away.
Yeah.
But that was the only reason why.
Yeah.
So it's fine. And time change, and it's okay. Just have to be careful with your time and how you do things. And I don't think it's becoming more dangerous than before. It's just that we're more conscious about it.
True.
And again, I don't have kids, so I can't really communicate that
Yeah,
very
he's
well.
got
but-
a really effective way of controlling that. It's like, hey, I pay the bills. Switch it off.
No, it's called this. Oh, I'm sorry. The internet's out again.
See, that will never happen again today because you have 5G.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just turned it off on my phone.
But it's different time. It's fine. Just live with your time. Just evolve with your time as well, and it's okay.
I think it's the same thing that you're saying in parallel to seatbelt use. People don't talk about before seatbelt use because everyone died. Right? They're dead. They can't talk about it.
That's one good way to put it out.
But
it depends as well. Like, for example, I remember my mom will not start the car unless we all have our seatbelt. Even though that was not mandatory if you were at the back seat.
Yeah.
But it was like, you get in the car, the first thing you do is you put your seatbelt on, and I will remove the curse word from that.
Yeah.
And I remember that was like the first thing I do. Like everywhere I go in the car, that's the first thing I do, and it's a reflex. And it's not different. It happens, right? It's just...
It literally does save lives by the numbers. People are dying less because the people that died didn't tell the story, right? So they're not around anymore. But now there's more of us fuckers. Sorry. Pardon my French.
Cheap shot. I've been waiting the whole recording for someone to say that one.
We get one freebie. Okay.
Okay, got it. No problem.
All right. So out of those three regions, Asia, Americas, and Europe, which of those three do you prefer make the best?
I don't. It's so different. Europe for food, like food and drinks. Europe. South America for food as well, and people.
Agreed.
North America for the way of living. If you know how to manage it, okay, you can live very well in North America, but you have to be very careful on some of the choices you make.
Yes.
Asia for the people and the culture, and there's one continent I really, really, really want to go is Antarctica. But it's technically not a country.
Yeah.
And
how would you get there?
you have to go to
And who
all the way
owns it?
down.
And who owns it?
So no one's owns it. It's actually under the UN.
Yeah.
So it's technically not a country.
Okay,
It's
so
a-
if you want to apply to go there, how do you do that?
So there's two ways. Mainly, there's actually more than that. So the first one is you do it as a pure touristic trip. So you go to the Argentina,
Okay.
Yeah.
Argentina, or I think it's Argentina, not Chile. Yeah, Argentina. Then you take a boat there, and then you can go there. Like I think it's like 2 days, something like that.
Okay, 2 days.
You jump in the water
okay.
there, and then you
Take
come back,
photos,
and you go
stuff
back.
like that.
But this is the touristic part. I think it costs like about $10,000 to go there. So it's not cheap, and hopefully because it's not supposed to be a place where you go on vacation.
Okay.
And the second part is you are part of a mission.
Okay, part of the mission.
And this is what, if I'm not sure I'm going to have the time in my life to do it, but if I go to Antarctica, I would love to be at least a little bit helpful.
A researcher.
Or helping on IT or helping on something that I can bring added value.
First esports in our...
Hey, joke aside, we wanted to run an overclocking competition.
That's right. You got like sub-zero
nice and cold.
temperatures. You don't need liquid nitrogen. You got sub-zero temperatures, right?
-70, what do you do?
You're actually right. A lot of people, I think, as I was in Argentina, I was going through customs and noticed a lot of very old people that could still walk. But I think this is a bucket list item for a lot of older people.
I think so.
Oh, right.
Right? Because going there, and because they were all part of a cruise, because they had the sticker on them.
And you need to.
And then they fly in, they go to their boat, they go over there. They said, I did it. Now I can die in peace.
That's fine. But so you have Antarctica, and Antarctica is so important for people because it's a continent.
Yes.
The North Pole will be just water in a couple of years' time.
Yes.
It's already that usually it usually froze over winter and then reopen at during summer. But for the past, I think 2 years, there's now a always open maritimes away. So that's one of the problems because of climate change. And actually on Antarctica, that's the first time they land a big ass plane on there. That's the first time they were doing it, like a proper big one, which brings other issues like does that
do they
going to
have
help or not? So that's
Overpopulation, just like you were talking about the Galapagos.
So are you?
well, you're not allowed to live there. It's like Svalbard up north Norway. You have this island, which is where you have the Sydvolt, Svalbard.
Right.
You're not allowed to technically live there. So you're always on a mission there because it's too up north. And I think you're not allowed to be born there as well. I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no hospital, there's nothing, right? So
Don't go there pregnant.
So,
I don't think they will allow you
are you
back.
expecting to see a giant ice wall if you ever go to Antarctica?
What? This isn't like Game of Thrones. What are you talking about?
behind the wall.
It's like the conspiracy
fire, and
theories of like a giant ice wall for the flat
Actually, you
earthers.
can see that in BC
Yep.
to the glacier.
Okay.
You will have more chance to see that
Oh, right.
there
So
than actually in
to those
Antarctica.
flat earthers, it's not a giant ice wall. It's actually a glacier. Okay.
It's called a glacier.
A glacier, yeah.
But no, there's so many things that can be like. There's so many things in the world that we have not properly understood, like from the biodiversity part. Like living in Ecuador, the biodiversity is insane, and we don't know most of it. I think we know like 80% of the species for birds. And again, how do you say 20% you don't know if you don't know them? So we don't really know like how much left is there.
Yeah.
Anything that is undersea and super up north or super south, we don't know it as well because there's no there was no research on it, or it's very difficult to do. We know more about our solar system than we know about the deep ocean.
That's correct, because we don't know what's underneath there because we've never been that far. I mean, the fact that these things are washing up from
And we cannot
deep
observe
sea,
it.
we can't see it. We don't know. We don't know how they eat, how they like. No one's gone that deep, and it could be very dangerous as well too, or it could be very nice and cool and everything. But we don't know. We're just
the
not
lost
made
city
for
of
that.
Atlantis.
Yeah. Actually, there's one project that is dear to my mind, and I wanted to bring that up.
Okay.
There's going to be more for you, Stephen. Out of all the travel, and I know we talked about travel and different cultures, there was one thing that I always wanted to do. That was to bring that to communicate that to others, and it's always difficult to explain like, okay, there's different cultures. You have to be open, keep smiling. Life is not always good, and it's fine because it was always good. Then good is the base, and then you can't do anything.
Yeah, there's no way up.
And I think that was 13 or 14 years ago. I started doing this like small turtle with my the caps that you get some of the bottles. I was making totals with it.
Oh,
Okay.
the bottle caps.
Like the bottle
Okay.
caps, I was making
Right.
totals with that, and I was like starting to take pictures of that turtle traveling when I was traveling back in the days.
Okay. Okay.
And this evolved around time, and then like Scarlett and I, two very good friends, they offered me this small turtle, and we called it Jeff. And Jeff has been traveling with me all this time. So I have more pictures of Jeff on vacations or somewhere than me, which actually pisses off my wife sometimes. She's like, oh, you're going on vacation with me or with Jeff?
I don't know.
So-
Bye-bye.
So that Jeff is Jeff the turtle.
Yeah.
And it's a smiley turtle. That smiley turtle is always discovering new culture, going to places.
Right.
And now that I have nephews and niece and like our friends starting to have kids,
Yeah.
we bring that back to them as, hey, this is a positive pinpoint or a positive horizon
Yeah.
Right.
that you can always bring any stories you want as long as it's positive and inclusive.
Yeah.
So I've been keeping this one for the whole recording.
Oh my God.
There is a little Jeff for the family and the kids. So Jeff the turtle,
Nice.
you can travel with it, you can take pictures with it. Is always happy, is always smiling. So whenever it's not going well,
That's very nice.
or something is
Troughman.
good, that's what it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you can have the Jeff the Turtle.
JeffTheTurtle.com, actually. I own the domain name now.
Oh, here you go. Maybe when he gets them online, you can actually
So I
buy
post
some.
a couple of pictures when I can.
you are.
And then it's
Thank
been
you.
traveling everywhere.
So is this your hobby? Do you switch?
No. I have a lot of hobbies. This one is not.
Okay. Thank you very
But yeah,
much.
that's part of the story. And the concept is there's one per family. So people that have multiple kids, they have to understand how sharing works. Because,
yes.
That's true. True.
Yes.
stay happy, be happy to discover things, and then
Yeah.
things are on.
Right. Talking about the different places you traveled, because I remember you used to just travel to one place and then you would just go off hiking, right? Different countries, different sports.
Actually, mostly hiking.
Mostly hiking. Okay.
I do a little bit of water sports like kayaking. I love
Yeah,
that as
yeah.
well. But it's usually more difficult. Like hiking, you need what?
Yeah.
A map,
yeah.
hiking boots, and a raincoat.
That's it,
And then
just-
you go with it.
oh, go.
You have to be careful where you go, but yeah. Hiking has
Mosquito
been
repellent.
yeah,
I hate mosquitoes.
Yeah. Mosquitoes everywhere.
just plan for it.
Yeah.
And you can travel light and go hiking as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Because hiking you can see a lot of good like viewpoints of the city or the area that you're visiting because you're either going up the mountains and stuff like that, and it's a good view.
and there's less tourists.
Less tourists, but of course you need to climb up or whatever.
And sometimes you need to be careful as well because there's tracks that you think, oh yeah, that's just there. But actually it's not just there. Like especially in Ecuador, it's like, oh yeah, you can just go there. Like, yeah, you can. But then good luck if there's a storm coming.
And also,
You're gonna
you
be in
might
trouble.
stumble
Oh, boy.
upon some
a bear.
A Saskatchewan?
Saskatchewan. Yeah.
You can't hike in Saskatchewan. well, okay. Don't quote me. I think you cannot hike in Saskatchewan. I mean, you can hike, but not hike.
You can walk.
You walk.
You can.
You go for a long walk. in the
I didn't
hills.
know. I didn't know Saskatchewan is just fields of corn
Golden
Okay,
wheat.
again.
and wheat.
This is the perception we have, never being there.
I thought it was more green trees where they have the Sasquatch. Sasquatch?
It's not
Squaw?
from there. The Sasquatch is from the West Coast, man.
Oh, I'm just confused. Yeah.
But hiking is good because you can, especially you don't usually go hiking by yourself.
Yeah, you go with the
So I
group,
will go
with
trail
friends.
running by myself, but I will
Yeah.
go hiking with the group.
Yeah.
And it's good because you can still exchange.
Yes.
For example, you go on a hike with a local group, then you start exchanging, and then they explain you stuff. So this is part of the learning part, like the discovering part.
Yeah.
Hiking is fun. I don't like just walking. I think it's too slow and I get bored. Well, hiking is fun, but then mountaineering, I hate it. I hate
It's
it.
too technical.
That's
I
too.
thought I would
that's
love
too
it.
extreme, right?
It's technical.
Yeah.
It is technical, but the other part is when I was in Ecuador, I did I wanted to do the top 10 summit there, but I only did 8 of them. The 2 notable one are Cotopaxi, which is the highest active volcano you can climb, and the other one is Chimborazo, which is the summit is the closest point from the sun and the further away from the center of Earth.
Because Western Americas, the elevation is really high, right?
It's really high.
Ecuador, Chile.
But it's not as high as Nepal.
Yeah.
But it's just because the Earth is actually tilted and it's not a very big, it's not a sphere, it's actually a bit
Yeah.
bumped.
Yeah.
So that's why technically at the Chimborazo is 6,240 or 280.
That's
Yeah.
high.
Yeah.
I mean, over
This is
here,
high,
the
yeah.
highest in British Columbia is like 3,000, right?
3,000
Ish.
something.
Yeah.
We were, where we were at the top of the Canadian Rockies. That point right there was the highest point in all of the
Wow.
number 1 Trans-Canada Highway.
Yeah.
That was where we were. So we drove all the way up top.
Wow.
Then
Wow.
we dropped out. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the highest
That's
point.
the highest point. That's 3,000 plus
Yeah.
meters.
That-
You're,
that's still-
you're
that's
talking
still-
6,000. Do you
Yeah.
need any health
No,
breathing?
so you don't need that, but you need training. So
Training,
it took me
training.
about 3 months of proper training living in Ecuador. So living at
Yeah, high
2,800
altitude.
average.
You have to acclimatize to that.
And then you
Yeah.
acclimatized, and then you do like 3 months of training, doing one after the other. But the part I didn't like is the security part. You need the spikes, you need the pilots, you need the ropes, you need the climbing gears,
Right.
and
It's
you
so
can't speak because you can't breathe.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, and you climb at night because you have to go there for sunrise, and you have to go down as fast as you can because you're on the glacier.
Yeah.
The glacier during the day is moving, so you have to get down.
Oh God.
So, yeah, actually,
Yeah.
we did encounter some. I'm gonna say that lost bodies from the previous missions that were there. So yeah, that was not that was very humbling. Let's say it this way.
Morbid.
So after this, I do not want to do mountaineering ever again.
See, it's so technical. There's too many things to think about other than talking to your neighbor.
Yeah.
Right?
And the other thing is you climb at night for 6-7 hours.
Who are you going to talk to? He can't even see you.
You can't even see. You have to be concentrated. You have to be 100% on what you're doing. You cannot think about something else. You focus just on
you
that.
focus on the climbing. Yeah.
Oh,
Because
that's
I mean,
not
I'd rather
fun.
do a sport where it's a group activity and you enjoy it, and you share experiences. And like I say, group hiking is good. right?
That's called going to a bar.
Oh, go in the bar, go eating.
Walk.
Eating.
You walk to the
eating is
bar.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You hike to the restaurant, and then you refuel. See, same.
Actually,
Same,
if you go to Ecuador, you want to hike to the restaurant. One of the famous dishes that they have is koi, and koi is
I
guinea
know,
pig.
Yeah.
Oh, guinea
So
pig.
they have
okay.
guinea pigs on barbecue.
Does it? Have you had it?
Yeah, it's
What does it
it's-
taste like?
It's pork.
No,
Ish.
it's more like rabbit.
Rabbit. Okay. Okay.
But I don't like the sauce they put on it. Like I don't like garlic. And a
Oh,
lot
right,
of the
they-
sauce
they-
have like these spices that I can't really
You know what?
digest. So
Funny thing you mentioned that is that in Argentina, we went to this high-end restaurant, and I don't want to say bad about them. Maybe the taste buds is different, but now that you mentioned that, maybe we will explore that for a sec. Is that you know ravioli, right?
Yep.
You know how it's supposed to be, a certain way. There's a filling. And when you have like a beef ravioli, it tastes, it should be savory, It should
Yeah.
be a certain way.
Okay.
It shouldn't be sour,
Depends on where you have it.
right? So it's the one that I had. Like, you know how mustard tastes a certain way.
Yeah.
It's a spicy kind of soury kind of taste. They put in this high-end restaurant, they put mustard on the ravioli.
Inside?
Not a sauce.
A
that
sauce.
we're not
Just
used
just
to.
raw mustard.
Just mustard on it. They trickled mustard all over it. And when I bit into it, I was like,
Because
I was like,
it
what?
was like a tangy.
It was not
Let's-
what I was expecting. And it kind of off-putting, but now that you mentioned that the sauce you didn't like,
It's
Okay.
mostly the sauce, yeah.
Yeah,
because you have to put a lot of sauce to cook it, otherwise too dry for the meat.
so maybe, keeping things open, maybe that's the way that they do it. It's like the first time maybe someone here eats a like barbecue pork bun.
I will
the
say
sweet and the
dumpling.
savory.
Dumpling is the good example.
Yeah, dumpling.
Like I have a problem when I go eat dumplings. Like, I never know if I would like them or not.
Is it sweet? Is it savory? Is it like, what is it? Mystery, right? So I was kind of, because we had an Italian guy with us, he's like, what is this? Because Italians don't do
yeah.
ravioli like that.
You're Italian. Do you put pineapple on your pizzas?
Heck no. So he was
I've
like
only
that.
actually
recently
like it.
found out that it's a Canadian thing, right?
It was a Canadian invention. Sorry.
What, the pineapple on pizzas?
Yes.
No
Sorry
way.
about that.
Serious.
Same
Who
with
the
Celine
hell
Dion. Sorry.
does that?
That's from Quebec. That's even better.
Even more sorry.
Oh,
right.
crazy.
Well, those are some crazy travel stories, and I hope that doesn't actually dissuade you from traveling. I think from what Trouffman has told us is that it's something that you should be embracing in all parts of your life. Discovery, adventure, right?
Don't wait to travel to discover new
Yeah,
things.
and
You can do
because-
it
Be
around
open.
you.
Yeah.
And because he's French, he's like Jean-Luc Picard,
Jean-Luc.
an
Picard.
adventurer.
That's right.
Funny
Explorer.
enough, I actually met his great grandson,
Oh, really?
Andre Picard, who is actually a real person.
I like the fact you have to justify this is actually a real person.
He actually has a figurine of Jean-Luc Picard in his solar-powered aircraft.
Oh.
Damn.
Yeah. So yeah, I think his name's Andre. Is it Andre or is that his co-pilot? Anyway, he is a Picard.
He's a Picard.
And he's Swiss. So he's neutral.
He's
He's
neutral.
French-speaking Swiss.
Anyway,
Great.
thank you so much for
Thank
being
you guys
here.
for doing this.
Yeah,
I
thank
really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And if you want to know more about what he does, we'll probably have some notes below or a URL at least if you need to hire someone to help you with your remote location, conference needs, or your TED Talk.
All right.
Actually, true.
Switch on that tracking location. You might want to see where you are.
Actually, that's one thing I try to disable as fast as I can. And by the way, to close the discussion on where I am at which point, I usually don't post what I do when I do it. It's always
a few days after.
It's
Right?
always the
after.
turtle. It's always the turtle.
Turtle first.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so don't forget, this is a YouTube exclusive. And so please subscribe to our channel. And of course, click on that notification for some new shows every Wednesday at noon.
Yep. And don't forget the comments because we read them and he will too now. So
I have no choice.
he has no choice. Okay. Until next time.
Until next time.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.